When people think of becoming more creative, I think that they can often have the wrong picture in their mind. Like somehow creativity is this mystic gift that's unlocked by just a few people. When in reality, I think that creativity and becoming more creative is actually pretty simple. I think it requires a few steps to do consistently, and in today's video, I want to show you how. For those of you that are new around here, my name is Riley, and I'm a documentary filmmaker that likes talking about everything from filmmaking and creativity to faith. I'm also someone that likes to shoot with Sony cameras. So if any of that interests you, be sure to subscribe and follow along. All right, let's dive in. Being creative consists of two things: ideas and doing, along with a healthy dose of consistency. I think whether you're a filmmaker, a photographer, an artist, a writer, a musician, any type of creator, I think that this is gonna ring true. If you don't have any new ideas, it's hard to create things. And if all you have is ideas and you never act upon them, you never bring them into the world, then the only thing you really have is fantasy. So learning the balance between inspiration and bringing that inspiration into the world is key. All right, let's get practical with some tips. My first tip is to actually get and to stay healthy. Now, I think this is easier said than done, but focusing on your mental health, focusing on your routine, and just trying to lower your level of stress is going to help you get and stay more creative. It's really hard to be creative if you're constantly bogged down with stress all the time. Now, this is an area of my life that I've had to focus a lot on over the last 6 months. Just developing a healthy routine, trying to lower and cut out areas of stress in my life. And it's not only better for myself and better for you in the long run, but I think it really is the sort of baseline foundation for being creative, is to have a healthy routine. My second tip is to do some self-reflection and try to understand where your inspiration comes from. For some people, this is getting out in nature, or maybe it's getting into the city. Maybe it's being around a certain group of friends or being around a certain type of person. For me personally, it's reading books with new ideas in them. Whatever it is that inspires you, build your routine around those things and saturate yourself in that environment. The healthier you are and the more you're in the type of environment that's going to allow you to grow and become creative, the more creative that you're going to become in the long run. Tip number 3 is to learn something new, to learn a new skill. Now, this could be as specific and odd as trying to figure out how to make yourself levitate, or it could be something a little bit more broad, like taking a class. I recently went through the master YouTube course from Matt D'Avella's Slow Growth Academy, and let me tell you, it was awesome. I learned about things like content strategy and audience persona, but it also gave me a pretty clear picture of how to build a sustainable workflow and keep doing this for the long haul. So whether you are trying to grow deeper in a topic or learn a new topic altogether, don't be afraid to learn a new skill. It is, to me, one of the best ways to experiment with stuff and broaden your level of creativity. Speaking of experimentation, the next thing I want to talk about is connecting ideas. There's this phrase and idea that says there's nothing really new under the sun, and I think that unfortunately that's probably true, but what is new and what becomes new is taking two things that already exist and putting them together in a new and fresh way. Now, this could be as simple as you bringing your perspective to something that has existed for a long time. It could be taking inspiration from two random things and bringing them together in a new and a fresh way that you haven't seen before, that other people haven't seen before. For me, what this looks like is honestly this YouTube channel. Now, I love being able to talk about filmmaking and talk about gear and the nerdy technical stuff, but my hope is that I can take that stuff and bring it into something that is practical and hands-on and is gonna break down whether or not that nerdy technical stuff is gonna make a difference and how you can utilize it in your work and in your storytelling. Honestly, my hope is that you and I, that we could become better storytellers and be able to make a difference with the stories that we're telling. And so for me, that's what I hope that I can bring to this YouTube community. And for you, I hope that you give yourself permission to find inspiration outside of your normal comfort zones and be able to take ideas from those different spheres and those different worlds and be able to bring them into the thing that you're trying to make and the thing that you're trying to create. This next tip is pretty self-explanatory. It's just to write it down. Now, for me, if I don't write something down, I'm probably not going to remember it months down the line. And so I've got lists on lists on lists of different stuff that I'm working on and stuff that I don't want to forget. I'll come back to an idea months later, or I'll need to think of a new idea, and I can look at an old list, and that old idea is going to help me think of something new and fresh and be able to build off of it. And if you don't get in the habit of writing stuff down, you're not going to have that well to draw from. So just make a list. Now, this last tip I think is the most important tip for becoming more creative, and it's to give yourself a deadline. Now, you might be saying a deadline doesn't really foster creativity, but I think that if you give yourself a deadline, if you give yourself a goal to finish by, and you kind of give yourself that time constraint to put that thing out into the world, to get feedback on it, and to move on to the next one, to make improvements to the next one, you're going to continue to grow. It isn't the big revelation that's going to make your project perfect, that's going to bring you your big break. It's the small, consistent steps, taking the feedback from your finished product and moving on to the next one that's going to help you get to where you want to go. Well, that is going to do it for this one. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, I would love it if you would hit like and subscribe below. It really is the best way to help me support this channel. Thanks so much, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.